Welcome to our in-service professional development session for the Language of Composition 2nd edition. Thank you for adopting this book for your AP classroom. This course is designed to walk you through the AP course and exam, Pedagogy of the Student Edition, and the teacher resources. Our goals for today's session are to make sure that you are well prepared for using the language of composition in your classroom. This in-service is designed to introduce you to the Pedagogy of the Student Edition and give you the opportunity to take an in-depth look at the other resources that came with the text. As we're going through the book, I encourage you to create a plan as we move through this presentation. We're also going to explore some resources beyond the textbook to use in your classroom. BFW is always adding to its professional development video library, and I will show you the best places to find some of these resources. Let's start by taking a look at the program as a whole. With your adoption, you will receive all of the materials listed on the screen. Please note that some of these materials are add-ons. If you are interested in purchasing these materials for your class, please contact your sales rep. We will now take a quick look at the AP course and exam. You can find materials online through the College Board to help you with your course on AP Central. The URL is listed on the screen. This website contains the course description, course overview, frequently asked questions, syllabi, and a teacher's guide. Be sure to check this site out before you start planning your course. AP Language is a skill-based course. That is, your students will be tested on their ability to read and write nonfiction and rhetoric. Some of the general goals of the AP Language course are listed on the screen here. Be sure to review all of the goals and learning objectives before you start to plan your course, and revisit them periodically throughout the school year to be sure your students are on track. All of your assignments should be created with these goals in mind. The AP exam will test your students' ability to meet all of these goals and is taken in May each year. The exam is divided into two sections. The first contains multiple choice questions and excerpts from nonfiction pieces. Students will have an hour to answer 52 to 55 questions, and this makes up 45% of the exam score. The second section is the writing section, which lasts 2 hours and 15 minutes. Students have to answer 3 essay prompts. These 3 essays are 55% of the exam score. Our second video will focus on the student edition of the language of composition. This video will quickly outline the student edition. Once you are done, please complete the short questions that follow the video. To get to know more about the textbook, I want to take a look at the authors first. Renee Shea, Larry Scanlon, and Robin Dissen-Aufses are experienced AP English teachers. Renee Shea served as liaison to the Development Committee for AP Language, is a reader, table leader, and question leader for both the AP Language and Literature exams, and a workshop leader for AP Lit, AP Lang, and Pre-AP. Larry Scanlon is a reader and table leader for the AP Language exam for over 10 years, a test development committee member, and a College Board consultant for both AP Lit and AP Language. Robin Aufses has been teaching high school for over 30 years. She's the English department chair at Lycée Français de New York and has published articles for the College Board. Shea, Scanlon, and Aufses developed the language of composition from the ground up for the AP Language course based on 3 strands of research: the theory and practice of rhetoric, the writing process, and the bridge between high school and college instruction. In developing the language of composition, the authors pooled their teaching resources and recent research into the transition from high school to college writing. In addition to literary essays and memoir, the language of composition includes readings about science, economics, business, sports, and current events that align with the 2007 redesign of the AP Language course description, which placed greater emphasis on nonfiction texts and writing across the disciplines. The 4 opening chapters teach skills essential for success in the AP Language course, college, career, and beyond. We're going to start here since you'll be spending a lot of time within these chapters. Chapter 1 teaches students to analyze and use rhetorical strategies, including the rhetorical triangle, classical appeals, and visual rhetoric. These first chapters contain activities for each of these sections, including one asking students to analyze the rhetorical situation of a movie or video game. The culminating activity, which is at the end of the chapter, asks students to examine a series of texts on a single subject, in this case the Apollo 11 moon landing. You can use this activity as a model for other topics as well. Many teachers focus on Chapter 1 throughout the first marking period of their school year, but you can adjust based on your student's skill level. Chapter 2, Close Reading, guides students in analyzing diction and syntax with an emphasis on their rhetorical effects. This chapter also walks students through writing a close analysis essay, a skill they should have for the exam. The activity for this topic provides a close analysis essay for your students to annotate and analyze to help them get started. The culminating activity asks students to analyze 3 pieces and develop a thesis statement. This is a great activity to introduce students to the synthesis skills they'll need to conquer on the exam. Chapter 3 teaches students to analyze the structure and techniques of an argument and then to construct their own. There are also more activities to do in Chapter 3, such as one on page 86 that asks students to evaluate arguable statements. There is an essay in progress that weaves throughout the chapter as well. Finally, the culminating activity is focused on analyzing visual arguments. Many teachers do not start Chapter 3 until January, but again, that is dependent on your students. Chapter 4 introduces students to the analysis and use of multiple sources and leads them through the process of writing the kind of synthesis essay that appears on the exam. Some teachers weave the activities and skills in this chapter as they are teaching chapters 1 to 3. Again, that is your decision. Now, we'll take a look at the thematic chapters that make up the rest of the book. Now that we've discussed the opening chapters, I'm going to use a sample thematic chapter to explain how the remaining chapters, 5 through 13, are structured. The thematic focus of each chapter encourages students to explore the complexities of a single issue and synthesize different viewpoints. The classic essay in each chapter is a canonical work written between the 18th century and the early 20th century. The central essay is a rich rhetorical and stylistic model. Conversation sections give students practice analyzing multiple related texts and then constructing a response that synthesizes these sources, preparing students for the AP synthesis question. The student writing section models a type of writing essential to success in the course and beyond. Suggestions for writing give students practice writing college-level essays. The essential question for each chapter invites students to enter the conversation and begin thinking critically about the chapter's theme. A selection of diverse, engaging readings include essays, speeches, poems, short stories, and a variety of visual texts. The grammar as rhetoric and style sections reinforce students' understanding of grammar and show how to use it to achieve a rhetorical purpose or stylistic effect. Each thematic chapter is prefaced with a question, which focuses the readings while leaving room for students to explore further viewpoints. The readings in the thematic chapters include essays, speeches, poems, short stories, and a variety of visual texts. Conversation sections give students practice analyzing multiple related texts, then constructing a response that synthesizes these sources to prepare them for the AP synthesis question. Grammar as rhetoric and style sections isolate a specific grammatical or syntactical concept and ask students to draw their own conclusions about the rhetorical impact of grammatical choices. Suggestions for writing sections involve analysis of both the readings in the chapter and the overall theme. The thematic chapters can be used in various ways. There is no right way to do it. Some teachers weave the opening chapters through the thematic chapter. Some teachers divide a group project for each student to apply skills from the introductory chapter to the thematic chapter of their choosing, and other teachers focus on the opening chapters and weave readings from the thematic chapters through them. The Language of Composition planning document will help you decide what is best for you. Our last video will focus on your teacher resource materials, which are found in two places: the Teacher's Manual and the Launchpad ebook. The materials are the same in both places. They are available in print in the manual and digitally through Launchpad. We'll take a look at them now. The Language of Composition's Teacher's Manual contains suggested approaches to teaching key readings in the thematic chapters, teaching ideas, test prep material, and suggested responses to the questions in the book. Part 1. Teaching with the Language of Composition provides essential information and advice for new teachers with plenty of interesting tips for experienced teachers as well. The first half of the manual includes teaching tips for each section and activity, as well as suggested responses to all the discussion questions of the opening chapters. For each thematic chapter, Part 1 includes suggested approaches to key readings, suggested responses to all questions for discussion, questions on rhetoric and style, and exploring the text questions, answers to grammar as rhetoric and style exercises, and a lesson plan tailored to the chapter's theme. As you're picking activities and pieces from the chapters within the text, look for the corresponding materials in the Teacher Resource Manual. Part 2, Preparing for the Exam, contains test preparation materials including 36 sets of AP-style multiple-choice questions, 36 AP-style essay questions, and 7 synthesis clusters. Use these pieces as you plan your assessment and exam review days. Once you've installed the ExamView Test Bank CD, you will have access to nearly 2,000 AP-style questions. You can create your own questions, edit existing questions, set time limits, incorporate multimedia, and scramble answers. We hope this professional development session has been helpful. Thank you again for choosing the Language of Composition 2nd Edition for your AP Language classroom.